The world between worlds. A vast expanse of endless stars and swirling nebulae, where time and space converge. Within this mysterious realm, the Force weaves the threads of countless realities. Through its portals, we glimpse infinite possibilities, a galaxy where one decision can reshape everything we know. Here, in the world between worlds, we see the echoes of destiny fractured and reformed. The Force binds all living things, but in this place, it also reveals what might have been. Every portal opens to a galaxy far, far away. A galaxy familiar, yet wholly different, where the balance of light and dark shifts in ways unimaginable. Time, space, reality, the Force moves through all of it. And yet, even the strongest currents can be altered by the smallest moments. Now, we step into one of these realities to witness a galaxy shaped by a single choice. A place where history bends, futures collide, and the impossible becomes possible. And so, we are left to ask just one question. What if? Hello there, and welcome to What If Obi-Wan Learned Vapaad After Qui-Gon's Death, Part 1 of 2. Location, Naboo, Royal Palace and Feed. Time, 31 BBY. As the Master and Padawan duo of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn clashed against the Sith, the sounds of lightsabers could be heard throughout the palace. Qui-Gon could feel himself getting tired, whilst the Sith Darth Maul desperately tried to separate the two Jedi. Soon he would succeed by kicking Obi-Wan off his feet, leading to him falling on the walkway below. Qui-Gon, seeing as he now was alone against the Sith, was determined, and Maul was more confident than ever. The Jedi and Sith continued their duel until they got to the shields in the plasma refinery. The shields closed, separating the two, and at the same time Obi-Wan was running back in the distance, desperately trying to get back in the fight. Qui-Gon went into battle meditation, which is a powerful and rare ability that is used to form connections to those around the user. As the shields opened again, the duel between Qui-Gon and Maul resumed. Obi-Wan was still far away, and as he was running back, Qui-Gon was running out of time. As the shields closed again, Obi-Wan had to watch as his master struggled against the Sith. Eventually, Qui-Gon fell as the Sith ruthlessly stabbed him through the chest with his crimson blade. Obi-Wan screamed, now more determined than ever. As the shields opened, Obi-Wan ran out, screaming and clashing with the Sith, his blue saber hitting against the Sith's crimson blade. The duel was becoming faster and faster. Obi-Wan was eventually able to get through the Sith's double-bladed saber, angering the Sith as he now had to fight with just one blade. The Sith managed to unleash a powerful force push, leading to Obi-Wan falling down the shaft, barely holding on for his life. As the Sith arrogantly stood above him, Obi-Wan suddenly lunged back up, pulling his master's saber to him and flipping above the Sith, cutting him in half as he watched the Sith fall down the endless shaft. He quickly runs over to his master, laying on the ground badly hurt. Obi-Wan insists on saving his master, but Qui-Gon knows that this is his end. He manages to mutter out a few sentences before passing, and these very sentences would change everything. Qui-Gon manages to mutter out to Obi-Wan, "Obi-Wan, the boy is the chosen one and needs to be trained as a Jedi. I trust you and only you to do it. The boy is our only hope, and you are our only hope at training him. My only hope. Stop at nothing. Do whatever it takes to destroy the Sith for good and finally bring peace and balance back to the galaxy." Qui-Gon manages to mutter out his final words to Obi-Wan. "May the Force be with you, Obi-Wan." "May the Force be with you, Master," Obi-Wan responds as Qui-Gon forever closes his eyes. Obi-Wan sat there for a bit, alone with his thoughts. Thoughts of anger. Anger at the Sith. Anger at the Jedi Council. but he also found new determination. Determination to avenge his master as he vowed to honor his word. As Obi-Wan stood beside Padme and Anakin, watching as Qui-Gon's body was being burned, he knew his master was gone, yet he could still feel his presence around him. On the other side of the audience of the funeral, the Grand Master stood with the Master of the Order. Windu heard the concern in Yoda's voice as he spoke. One Sith was killed. How many there are left? Unsure we are. The rule of two I am certain of. A master and an apprentice there are. Location: Coruscant, the Jedi Temple. Time: 31 BBY. Obi-Wan stood before the council as Master Yoda spoke, still concerned about the boy and him being trained as a Jedi. But Obi-Wan would not back down, and as he spoke, all the council masters could sense the anger within Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan would not back down as he was determined to train the boy, just as he promised his master. Yoda spoke. Many unsettling feelings we feel in the boy, blinded his future might be with his feelings. Obi-Wan fired back. This boy is the chosen one. He must be trained. All of you heard when Qui-Gon said that Anakin's midichlorian count was higher than that of Master Yoda. If we don't train him, the Sith will. Your failure to act resulted in the death of Qui-Gon, and the Sith are still out there. I will train the boy, whether you approve or not. Obi-Wan then turned around, making his way out of the council chambers. The council was in awe from what Obi-Wan said. Before Obi-Wan exited, Master Yoda spoke. Train the boy, you will, Obi-Wan. Trust you with this, I do. Tomorrow, a Jedi Knight you will become. Obi-Wan smiled to himself as he responded with saying, May the Force be with you, and entered the elevator, leaving the council chambers. As Obi-Wan left, the council erupted in an argument. As the Jedi Masters kept arguing, Plo Koon spoke up, which stunned everyone as Master Plo usually stayed quiet. He said, Master Yoda is right. The boy must be trained. We failed to act, and now the whole galaxy might just suffer. As said by Obi-Wan, the Sith are still out there. Everyone listened closely as Mace Windu spoke up. I must agree, but I sensed much anger in Obi-Wan. This might be something concerning. We should keep a close eye on him. Tomorrow he will be attending the Jedi Knight trials, which I believe he will pass with ease. After Obi-Wan exited the elevator, Anakin stood there waiting for him. Anakin asked Obi-Wan if he will become a Jedi. Obi-Wan didn't respond as he motioned for Anakin to come with him. Obi-Wan led him to a meditation chamber. Obi-Wan and Anakin sat down as Obi-Wan told Anakin to close his eyes. Anakin closed his eyes as Obi-Wan told him to feel the Force around him. I can feel it, Anakin said. Obi-Wan smiled and said that he will train Anakin as a Jedi. Anakin jumped up in happiness, but Obi-Wan continued speaking, mentioning that the council were skeptical of Anakin becoming a Jedi, so this would be a challenge for both. Obi-Wan continued speaking, as he said that tomorrow he will attend the Jedi Knight trials, and once he's passed them, his training of Anakin will officially begin. But the journey ahead will take a lot of work. Obi-Wan then led Anakin to his room and told him to get some rest. After this, Obi-Wan headed to the Jedi Library, left to his own thoughts. He was anxious about training Anakin. He hadn't even become a Jedi Knight yet, and the burden of training the Chosen One fell on him. Despite this, he wanted to do this for Qui-Gon. He entered the library and was greeted by Jocasta Nu. Obi-Wan liked learning and reading books, so he thought that he would head down to the library to calm himself down. He specifically wanted to find any books about feelings, specifically anger. Anger was something he had truly felt for the first time today. After a long time of searching, Obi-Wan couldn't find anything. Jocasta Nu approached him, asking what he was looking for. Obi-Wan responded that he was searching for books about anger specifically. Jocasta Nu raised an eyebrow at Obi-Wan, wondering why he would be searching for that at this time. She didn't ask why he was searching for that specifically. Obi-Wan responded by saying, I want to learn more about the feeling of anger. He then paused before continuing to speak. Today, I truly felt anger for the first time, but he didn't want to just brush it off. He wanted to embrace it and use it for good. Jocasta Nu nodded in understanding as she spoke. I can help you. but know that what you want isn't very popular with the Jedi. Get some rest for your trials tomorrow, and we will speak further about this." Obi-Wan responded with a thank you and went to his room to get some sleep. He smiled, knowing that Master Nu was willing to help him. He really liked her, as she was the wise librarian that always helped him. The next day, Obi-Wan would go on to pass the Jedi Knight trials with ease, just as the Council Masters had anticipated. Obi-Wan was officially granted the rank of Jedi Knight and became Anakin's master. After this, Obi-Wan would head down to the library to speak with Jocasta Nu. She greeted him with a smile, congratulating him in becoming a Jedi Knight. Obi-Wan then mentioned that she said she would help him. Master Nu answered saying yes, as she told Obi-Wan to sit down. Master Nu started speaking. "What you seek is possible, but highly unpopular. Your darkness could be used to do good. Mace Windu is a Jedi that uses this technique. As you may know, Mace Windu took the 7th form of lightsaber combat, Ju-Yo, and made it into something more. He made it into something called Vapaad." Obi-Wan's interest was rising as Master Nu continued speaking. "This is also the reason behind Master Windu's purple lightsaber color. Master Windu stands between the light and dark, using both sides of the Force. Vapaad also allows the user to channel their enemy's darkness against them. But Master Windu has previously said that he prefers for Jedi not to learn this power, as the average Jedi could very easily be turned to the dark side because of this." Obi-Wan's interest was at its peak as he spoke. "I must speak to Master Windu. I must learn this power." Jocasta Nu wished Obi-Wan luck and warned him about learning this ability. She then told him to trust in the Force and left. Obi-Wan knew that he had to speak with Master Windu. After searching around the temple, he found Master Windu. Windu greeted him, asking Obi-Wan what he wanted. Obi-Wan spoke. "Master Windu, I wish to know more about Vapaad." Windu was stunned as he heard Obi-Wan mention Vapaad. "You want to learn the ability of wielding Vapaad?" Obi-Wan nodded and spoke. "I spoke about it with Jocasta Nu. She meant you. She also said that I should be careful when learning Vapaad." Master Windu shook his head. "No, Obi-Wan. I can't teach you. It's too dangerous." Obi-Wan argued. "But Master, I can't suppress this anger within me." Master Windu let out a sigh and spoke. "Obi-Wan, you have a Padawan to learn now. I will not help you." Over the next few weeks, Obi-Wan would start the training of Anakin Skywalker. It seemingly was going well, but Obi-Wan was still thinking of the conversation with Master Windu. Over the weeks, Obi-Wan's anger had been rising, and the Council had taken notice. 3 months into Anakin's training, the Council had a meeting where they discussed the boy and his master Obi-Wan. They admitted that Obi-Wan was thus far doing well with the training, but his anger was starting to be concerning. As the Council Masters continued discussing, Master Windu spoke to himself, saying, "I must do it." The other Masters looked at Windu as Yoda asked, "Do what?" Master Windu sat up in his chair as he spoke. "I must teach Obi-Wan the art of Vapaad." Everyone looked at Windu, surprised at his words. Master Yoda said with a surprised tone, "What?" Windu spoke. 3 months ago, Obi-Wan came to me and wanted me to teach him Vapaad, to control his anger and use it for good. I told him that I couldn't, considering the risks with doing so. But now, it seems like I have no choice. The next day, Obi-Wan was called to the council chambers. Yoda spoke in a wise tone. Your training with Skywalker, good is it going?" "Yes, Master, it's going very well," Obi-Wan answers. After a brief silence, Mace Windu speaks. "I must say that your training with Skywalker is most impressive, but I can sense that something's troubling you. What is it?" Obi-Wan stands there, quietly, contemplating what to say next, as the Council Masters wait for him to speak. "Yes, there is something troubling me." Obi-Wan pauses. The Council Masters listen intently, as Obi-Wan explains that ever since Qui-Gon's death, he's had troubles with his feelings. He was angry at the Sith, angry at himself, and angry at the Council. All of the Council Masters' eyes open wide as Obi-Wan says this. There's a moment of silence as Yoda speaks up. "Appreciate your honesty, we do, Obi-Wan. Understand, we do, that Vapaad sparks your interest. It does." Obi-Wan nods. Master Windu starts speaking, explaining Vapaad to Obi-Wan. Vapaad is a different form of Juyo, the seventh form of lightsaber combat. Obi-Wan nods as he remembers Master Nu explaining this to him. Windu continues speaking. Vapaad is a two-sided blade, where you stand between light and dark. It's too dangerous because it pushes you towards the dark side, and that's why controlling it is so hard. Vapaad is a more refined version of Juyo, making it easier to control. Juyo has always been a form of lightsaber combat used by the Sith, being extremely fast-paced and aggressive. But I didn't develop this alone. A fellow Jedi Master and a great friend of mine, Sora Bulk, helped me develop this form, but at the end, he fell to the dark side, being consumed by it due to Vapaad. As Mace says this, all the Council Masters nod in sorrow as they remember Master Sora Bulk. Windu continues. After this incident, I decided that I wouldn't teach anyone in the art of Vapaad, as it is too dangerous. Obi-Wan nods in understanding as he turns to leave. He hears Master Windu say the word "but." Obi-Wan turns around to look at Windu. "I will teach you," Windu says. "I believe that you are fully capable of this. For now, continue your training with Skywalker as you have, and whenever you have time, we will train together. And Vapaad might be something useful for Skywalker later." Obi-Wan smiles, thanking Master Windu and the Council. "We begin tomorrow," Windu says. The next day, after Obi-Wan finishes his regular training with Anakin, he went down to a relatively secluded area of the training grounds of the temple, where Windu was waiting for him. The first training session was hard for Obi-Wan, with Windu shouting again and again, "Not good enough, Obi-Wan. One more time, Obi-Wan." After the first training session, Obi-Wan understood that the journey ahead would be very hard. Over the next few months, Obi-Wan's Jedi life would be very hard. Every day he would train Anakin as his Padawan, and right after, he would be training with Mace Windu. Windu also started helping Obi-Wan with training Skywalker and formed a sort of a bond with him. Now, prior to Windu helping Obi-Wan with learning Vapaad, Obi-Wan decided to learn the third form of lightsaber combat, Sarisu. But even after starting the journey of learning Vapaad, he continued his training of Form 3. Obi-Wan was becoming the definition of a two-sided blade. On one side, he was learning to use his anger for good and learning a more refined version of the most aggressive lightsaber form. On the other side, he was a calm and collected Jedi, also earning himself the infamous name of the Negotiator. With that, he was also learning the third form of lightsaber combat, which was considered the most Jedi-like form, being a purely defensive form. After 2 more years had passed, Obi-Wan earned himself many names: the Negotiator, the Two-Sided Jedi, the Double-Bladed Jedi, and many more. Throughout these 2 years, Obi-Wan had become very proficient in Form 3 and not far behind with Form 7. Him and Windu had also been teaching Anakin the basics of Vapaad, making him aware of what it is. The Council had deemed it that Anakin should also be taught in this ability. By this time, Palpatine couldn't form a bond with Anakin yet, since Anakin was so focused on his Jedi training. Because of this, he wasn't aware of the whole Vapaad situation. Location: the Mid-Rim. Planet: Hurikane. Time: 26 BBY. Mace Windu, Anakin, and Obi-Wan were flying through the atmosphere of the planet Hurikane, aboard a T6 shuttle. Recently, whilst meditating, both Anakin and Obi-Wan got a vision of them finding a purple kyber crystal. From the vision, Windu determined that it must have been on the planet of Hurikane, the same planet he found his purple kyber crystal on many years back. The planet was largely unexplored and had a harsh environment. Windu landed the shuttle in a flat area, and all 3 of them exited the shuttle. A somewhat of a path was visible as they decided to follow it. They were walking through various rock formations and could see some ominous-looking trees all around them. After a long time of walking through the difficult terrain of the planet, Anakin spotted a cave in the distance. As he got closer to the cave, Windu recalled that he found his purple kyber crystal in a similar-looking cave. Obi-Wan and Anakin entered the cave side by side. They made their way through the various tunnels and entrances. They felt the force around them. This cave was very strongly attuned to it. After a long while, they noticed a purple glow at the end of a hallway. As Anakin entered first, he could see that there were 2 purple kyber crystals ahead. Obi-Wan stepped forward, as the right kyber crystal started shining stronger. When Anakin stepped closer, the left crystal started shining stronger. They understood which one was for who, as it carefully removed the crystals from the wall. It was something they had never seen before. The crystals were right next to each other. They were almost connected. Obi-Wan and Anakin then made their way out of the cave. They met back up with Windu and showed him the crystals. Windu smiled and said, "I'm proud of you two. This is deserved." The three of them then made their way back to the ship. Back on Coruscant, Sidious was in his lair in the industrial sector. While the three Jedi had made their way to Hurikane, Sidious had been performing self-alchemy. He felt a disturbance in the Force and sought the dark side for help. He then got a vision of Obi-Wan and Anakin wielding purple lightsabers, a Jedi shuttle landing on a planet and a cave with a purple glow. As Sidious snapped out of the vision, he realized how far he would have to reach to get Anakin on his side. He wasn't aware of Anakin and Obi-Wan learning Vapaad. As he was connecting the dots, a wave of realization swept over him. He whispered out the word Windu with great anger. He hated that Jedi scum. Windu had taken the Sith form of Juyo and tried to make it a Jedi form, and now he was trying to steal Skywalker from him. Sidious, through his vast sources, knew where Windu had gotten his purple kyber crystal. He didn't know how much Anakin knew of Vapaad by this point, as if Anakin were to master Vapaad, he would surely not join Sidious. However, Vapaad could also make things easier for Sidious, but he wasn't taking any chances. Sidious quickly entered his ship and set a course for Hurikane. He would deal with these Vapaad-wielding Jedi. Back on Hurikane, as Windu was about to take off, Obi-Wan had spotted a ship landing in the distance. The Council was aware of them being here, but why would they come? Windu, Obi-Wan, and Anakin exited the ship, hands on their lightsabers as they could feel the Force shifting around them. Sidious exited the ship with a smirk on his face. He could sense the three Jedi, and he would deal with them. Anakin was now a liability for him. As Sidious made it closer to the Jedi, the Force and weather around them was rapidly shifting. Anakin said, "I have a bad feeling about this," as Obi-Wan agreed with him. The three of them stayed close together, watching their surroundings. Suddenly, they heard a creepy laugh as Sidious moved at them like a blur. Two crimson blades ignited. The Jedi were somewhat caught off guard by this, as the Sith moved quicker than anything they had ever seen. The crimson glow of Darth Sidious's twin lightsabers bathed the Jedi in an eerie light. As he lunged forward, a whirlwind of speed and precision. His attacks were relentless, striking with such fury that Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Mace Windu were immediately forced onto the defensive. Sidious's first move was to separate them. He struck low at Anakin while unleashing a violent force push, sending Obi-Wan hurtling into a rock. The impact knocked the wind out of him, leaving him momentarily dazed. Mace Windu, the only one standing his ground, intercepted Sidious' vicious strikes, his purple blade clashing against the Sith's blood-red sabers. The Sith Lord moved like a phantom, his attacks precise and unpredictable. But Windu was no ordinary Jedi, as the Sith's darkness flowed through him, turning it back against him. Anakin, still a young Padawan of only 13, tightened his grip of his blue saber and charged forward. But Sidious had been waiting for this moment. With a wicked snarl, he twisted his wrist and brought his saber down, slicing through Anakin's right arm in one swift, merciless strike. The boy screamed, collapsing onto the cold, rocky ground as his severed limb hit the ground beside him. Pain seared through his body like fire. Such weakness. Sidious hissed, his yellow eyes gleaming with sadistic pleasure. He raised his hand, and without hesitation, he unleashed a storm of Sith lightning, striking both Obi-Wan and Anakin. Obi-Wan gritted his teeth, forcing himself up despite the agony, surging through him. His vision blurred, but he could see Anakin writhing in pain beside him. With the last of his strength, he reached out, grabbed Anakin, and dragged him toward their ship's boarding ramp. Meanwhile, Mace Windu was alone against the Sith Lord. He fought with calculated precision, his blade dancing between defense and counterattack. But Sidious was fast, forcing Windu to steadily retreat toward the ship, step by step. Then, Windu saw his opening. Sidious lunged forward with both sabers aiming to overwhelm him. But Windu suddenly deactivated his blade, causing Sidious to overextend. In that instant, wanted to use the Force to send himself hurtling backward, flipping through the air onto the ship's ramp, just as its engines roared to life. He then unleashed a powerful Force push, sending Sidious flying back. Obi-Wan, gasping for breath, slammed the controls, sealing the hatch of the ship. The ship lifted off, leaving the Sith Lord behind. Sidious got back up as he saw the ship fly away in the distance, as his furious howl could be heard across the galaxy. And that is it for What If Obi-Wan Learned Vapaad after Qui-Gon's death, Part 1 of 2. Now, Part 2 will be coming out in a week, Sunday next week, and I will also be posting a Star Wars What If from now on every single Sunday, every single week. And as I said again, Part 2 will be coming out in a week on Sunday next week. Now, this was my first What If, guys, so, you know, I really hope you enjoyed. I hope I didn't slip up with anything. I hope everything with the video was fine. And I do very much want feedback from you guys, so comment down below what I could improve on these videos, what you liked, what you didn't like, and yeah, any suggestions, anything really. Yeah, subscribe guys, like the video if you enjoyed, and turn your notifications on to be notified about the next time I post a Star Wars What If. Again, I hope you guys enjoy this. I really enjoyed writing this, I enjoyed making this, it was super fun, very fun experience, and I'm looking forward to making Part 2 and making these next What Ifs coming forward. So yeah, that is it for this video, and hey, remember to join our Discord server, the link is in the description, and if you want to support the channel and get exclusive perks, consider joining our Patreon. And that is pretty much it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed this What If as I did, and yeah, this is the way, may the Force be with you. Until then, I will see you next time.
Hey, you didn't watch it? Well, check out the video on the left side of the screen, which is specifically recommended for you, or check out the playlist on the right of the screen, which contains similar videos to this one, made by me, of course. Hey, remember, subscribe.